Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 17 of the Carrie Roldan Show, where we spend 30 minutes or so a week having conversations that matter to the mompreneurs, body, mind, and business. I'm your host, Carrie Roldan, and I'm a wife, a mother, a runner, a best-selling author, a personal growth junkie, and your total business BFF. And I help busy mompreneurs to find their niche, create an offer that serves them, and market it in a way that resonates but still feels totally authentic. If that sounds like what you need, grab my new ebook. I have a link here, which I've learned that I can make prettier, but for now, you'll just have to deal with this one. So it's carrieroldan.com/ Carrie Roldan's ebook. Oh, and look at that. I'm getting a reminder on my computer saying, don't forget to attend your own hangout. So maybe some of you are just getting that reminder and just joining us. But in this ebook, which is called Get Where You're Going, Girlfriend, 6 Steps to Actually Achieving Your Outrageous Goals, you will learn how to get out of your own way, stop self-sabotaging, and get into inspired action now, which I'm excited to talk about with my guest today, actually. The 3 missing steps to the ask, believe, receive manifestation model, and how and where to get the support you need to create the life and business that you dream of. So again, you can get that right there, carrieroldan.com/ Carrie Roldan's ebook. Okay, so I created this show, the Carrie Roldan Show, because I have stumbled and continue to on my entrepreneurial journey, because the road to success thus far has been full of potholes, detours, and dead ends. Not to mention self-doubt, worry, debt, fear, marital tension, and personal struggle. And I want to share with you guys what I continue to learn on my journey in the hopes that it will help you guys too. I told you I'm your business BFF. So I've also started a Google Plus community called What Else? Business Besties, and that is for mompreneurs or those with a heart or a business for serving mompreneurs, like my guest today, who is an honorary mompreneur because he's a man, so he's like a dadpreneur. But to join that community, just head on over to Google Plus and search in communities for business besties, and you will find it. Okay, so my topic today is the 3 keys to success in business and life. So, do you notice yourself chasing success? There seems to be an incredibly fine line between goal setting and what I call I'll be happy when syndrome. And as conscious entrepreneurs and mompreneurs in particular, this can be a super duper difficult line to walk, especially when where we are looks so darn far from where we want to be. So I started my business for lots and lots of reasons. But I felt constricted at my teaching job, and I felt alive and at home in the role of coach. But really, it was the lure of the entrepreneurial lifestyle that got me here, right? So having said all that, I also really believed that I would be happy when. I did. I became an entrepreneur because I thought I'll be happy when I'm successful. The only problem was that I did not have a clear image of what it meant to be successful. And I write about this in my ebook and also in Run Yourself Happy. But I believe that success and happiness were external conditions lying just outside of my reach. And finding these things, as it turns out, has been much more of an inside job. So that's why I'm excited to have John Jerkovich here today on the show this week, because John is the author of an incredible book called These 3 Things, A Guide to Universal Success. And as I mentioned, he's an honorary mompreneur. I met John a few months ago in a group for entrepreneurs learning the Google Plus ropes. I was so impressed by him, and you guys will be too. You'll love his blog. You'll love his hangouts. You'll love his demeanor. I just love his, I actually love his voice. I love his little accent, but I love that when he speaks, he spews wisdom. And so I just want to get going, and I see him like laughing at what I'm saying, which is fantastic. So I want to get going. John is the father of 6 children and a smattering of grandchildren too, who lives in Owensboro, Kentucky. And we plan to dive deep into the three things. So I'm going to ask you, John, to unmute yourself. I'm going to move some screens around here, and I'll be able to check on the comments. But just hello, how are you doing?
Thank you, Carrie. And I wasn't laughing, I was blushing. Because I've got a secret to tell you. When I'm feeling kind of stale, okay, and just, that day ain't going well, I go back and watch replays of your show. Because you're just this little ball of energy. I mean, if you guys out there, people from my communities, if you don't know Carrie, you need to get to know Carrie, because there's just this, even if you spend 3 minutes with her, you walk away for the rest of the day and there's that little bit of a spring in your step. So I thank you, and I'm honored to be with you. The other thing I want to tell you is my wife and I were sitting in the living room last night, and I said, I'm going to be on the Carrie Roldan show tomorrow, and she goes, okay. I said, I'm an honorary mompreneur. And she looked at me and she goes, why? I said, because I raised 6 kids. And she goes, pardon me. I said, I helped raise 6 kids, and then I kind of got yeah, that's better. So I'm really happy to be here with you today. So let's get started.
Okay, well, I'm happy to have you here today, and thank you for that. That's sweet and kind, and it is, you know what, I can't say that I'm like this all the time, but I really, really love doing this show because I love talking to people like you. I love talking about the stuff we talk about. So clearly, right, I'm in my zone of genius. I'm in my sweet spot. I'm in my passion. So I promise there are times when I'm not so bouncy and bubbly. But having said all that, I want to say hi to the people who are here. So that's Catherine, that's you, John. I can't tell if Elaine and Roy are here. But those of you watching live and watching replay, hello. Feel free to join the comment stream and let us know what it is you are thinking now. Which I posed this question. I'm going to ask you this question right now, John, but I posed this question on Facebook earlier, which is, what do you think the 3 keys are, right? The 3 keys to success in life and business. What do you think those things are? So if you are watching, type those things in, what you think they are. And then, John, I'm going to ask you that same question because that's why you're here, to tell us what the 3 keys to success in business and life.
I've spent 40 years working with successful people. And if I started rattling off their names, nobody in your audience would know who they were. They were very successful people, and one of the things that I discovered in working with them is they all had 3 things in common. The first thing was they genuinely believed they deserved to be successful. It was like a birthright, okay? So whatever I get involved in, I'm going to be successful. And the second thing is I kind of say it's a cousin of the first thing. You're worth all the effort you put into yourself. Entrepreneurs, mompreneurs, solopreneurs, preneurpreneurs, small business owners, we all go through that period of time where it's a desert experience, where you're paying the bills, you're treading water. Gee, you got to go watch replays of the Carrie Roldan show because the things just aren't, and you're kind of sitting there, and that's where you have to remind yourself you're worth all the effort. It's maybe that extra time in a private hangout with somebody you met on Google Plus, and who knows that a month down the road you may be working on a collaborative experience with that person, okay? But if you don't believe you deserve it, you're never going to believe you're worth that effort. Sometimes that means, kids, I need 20 more minutes. My wife has been known to yell down the stairs, "Are you coming to bed tonight?" Okay, or I will, if I'm in a hangout, I'll stop my camera, run upstairs, and go, "Am I abandoning you?" Okay. And you know, sometimes the end does justify the means. The third thing is you are who you hang around with. Okay? Successful people hang around with successful people. Look, if I want to stay where I'm at, I'm going to search out people who are comfortable where they're at. But if I really want to be challenged to grow, I'm going to look for people like yourself, other people within this community, okay? And we know who they are,
Right.
that really challenge you on a daily basis to be a little better, a little bit more improved, and grow a little bit more. That's where success comes in. And it's not just business, it's life too.
Oh, that was just perfect timing. I was just sending you a little message saying, okay, about 5 seconds, and we're going to switch back over. And here we are. Okay, so first, have you been hearing little dings in the background? Were you hearing those?
No, I am
Oh,
not.
good. Then it was just me. Okay, that's never mind. Crisis averted. So you guys haven't been bothered by the dinging. It's just me hearing the dinging. Um, number, so let's go back to your conversation then, which you said the three things, right? People feel like they need to understand that they deserve success and believe in it. Number two, that they're worth the effort, which I think number one and two are really kind of closely tied. And then number three, you said that you are who you hang around with. So I am really interested in talking about number one and number three.
Okay.
um, so can
And
we do
most
that?
people are, okay?
Okay. Well, then maybe then I'm going to actually ask you: is is that am I making a mistake in that?
No, I think, and this is why I say number two is a cousin to number one. Most people that I run with are people like you and those people who are serious about their own business. They wouldn't be experiencing the success they've experienced so far if they didn't have a strong work ethic. Okay? If they really didn't believe they deserve it. So most people I talk with, number two's almost a given. Okay?
Got it.
Now number one and number three, and let me put a question to you and to your audience. It goes something like this. What's the biggest hang up in your mental and emotional life? When you start talking about deserving success and hanging around with people, where's your biggest hang up?
I'm just writing that in the comment section.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great question. And you and I were talking about this in the great room. It is a great room in the green room. um, about that, about the deservingness. That this is like such a okay. Let me back up. I think if you talk to me 15 years ago and said, well, Carrie, in order to be successful, you have to feel like you deserve success, I would say, well, of course I deserve success. I've done all these things right. I work really hard. I went to school and got good grades. I'm a people pleaser. I make everyone happy. I would have given you all these reasons, these external reasons why I deserve success. And what I found, of course, along my entrepreneurial journey, and not just an entrepreneurial journey, but there's my personal journey of spiritual journey of growth and discovery, is that wow, are we all programmed? I mean, it's kind of sad, right? I, as a parent, I struggle with it all the time. Like, oh my gosh, am I programming them to feel like they're not deserving? But I mean, I can think of instances in my childhood, right, where I would have done something and then maybe I don't know, but I like remember my mom saying, well, do you feel like you really deserve the ice cream? Or does, and
Yeah.
so I don't know. I'm stumbling over my
Yeah,
words.
it's interesting. My dad would have been 90 this year. He passed away. He'll be dead 3 years in March. And my dad was frugal. He was a child of the Depression. Okay, and I talk about this in these three things and how my interpretation of what my dad was telling me when I was growing up was, you don't want me to have stuff. And it was kind of like just the whole thing. Do you think you deserve that bike, John? Or do you think you worked hard enough? And look, we've only got a half hour. I'm not going to get into the theory of the mind and everything.
Right.
But as we develop, we carry that with us. We're the sum total of our experiences. So you get your first big person job, whatever that is, and they have a vision that we've hired Carrie Roldan, and boy, she's going to change the world. And in the back of your head, you're going, who? Me? Because there's that ice cream cone. Okay? Do you deserve that ice cream cone? And so we spend that time going, we barter with ourselves. Here's what I came to realize about parenting, and I learned it through my mom and dad. They did the best they could. I had a roof over my head. I had food in my belly. I had clothes on my back. I went to good schools. I wasn't abused. They did the best they could. My children are all grown, and I think through my parents I learned Joan and I did the best we could. We weren't perfect by any respect. I don't, I always used to say it sure would be nice if right after the child was delivered, before the placenta came a manual. This is how you're going to raise me. So, I think that is one area where people say, boy, mom and dad, because who's the strongest authority figure in your life for the
Right.
first 14, 15 years of your life?
Right. Right. Until it becomes your friends who obviously know everything.
Hmm.
Um,
Of course.
okay, so let's, as my understanding of what you've just explained is that, yeah, we all have some deserving issues, right? And that's part of the getting to success is resolving those, getting yourself to a place of, and maybe that's just part of, right, the hero journey. That's part of our universal experience, is that we're all going to have some sort of issues, internal issues, right? Worthiness and deserving issues. And it's part of our work as human beings, um, to recognize the truth, right? That we are worthy and deserving of all that we desire. Am I accurate?
Yeah, I think, Carrie, the best way or the most explainable way to describe this is if you've seen the movie A Beautiful Mind. And
Yes.
real quick with Russell Crowe, he was a Nobel Prize winning physicist who was a paranoid schizophrenic. And he had three people in his life that were imaginary. When he started taking medication, he could no longer work. When he stopped taking the medication and realized those three people are going to be there forever, he was able to work and ultimately win a Nobel Prize. Well, I'm not saying we're all paranoid schizophrenics, but we all have those three people. And if you didn't have your three people, you wouldn't be Carrie Roldan. Now, do we really want everybody to be alike? So you can call them perceptions, faults, bad habits, whatever you want. They're what make you you. And the minute we remove them, you're no longer going to function the way you have.
Oh my gosh, you just gave me that example so beautiful because for those of you who are not geeking out on the movie, sorry, stay with me for a minute, but he he struggled with those three people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until he recognized, he had this moment where he recognized, oh, because he's like, are they real? Are they not real? What's going on? Which we all do with our own belief systems. And then he had this moment where he realized they never age. They never age, which means, okay, they're only in my mind. And when he was able to do that, to recognize, oh, that's just that thing that only lives in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we all, right? That's our journey, is to recognize, oh, there that thing is. That's just an old belief. That's just in my mind. That doesn't have to be my reality. So I love that. Okay, so we have to move on because it is. Can you believe we only have 10 minutes left? um, so I want to talk about number 3. So just to recap, and Catherine is writing them down in the comment stream as well. You deserve to succeed. You are worth everything that you invest in yourself. And I think what I'm passionate about and what John's passionate about is invest in yourself. do your personal work, do your, like, grow, because, I mean, really, what's the point of trying to accumulate if you're not going to um, become the fullest expression of yourself, the reason that you're here on this planet. So then number three leads us right into that, which is you are who you hang around with. So talk to me about that. Who should I be hanging around with?
I think that changes as you grow and as you evolve. And Carrie, you said something in the green room before we got on, and you were talking about where you were at in some of your goals right now, and you're gravitating towards those people who have walked that path a little bit ahead of you. So you're writing notes mentally. Oh, they think this way, they talk that way, they believe, they act this way. Ah, okay. Their self-talk is
Yeah.
listen to how they talk. One of the things when I work with somebody through life coaching, I tell them take the word hope and throw it away. Because the minute you say, well, I hope to do that, it means, and there's a chance I won't. So I'm leaving the back door open. I believe in the law of attraction that when you put out that vibration, I want to be a better dad, I want to be a better coach, you're going to start to grab that vibration reaches other people. Okay? Real quick, I have a new client in Pennsylvania, and the way I ended up getting the client is she pinged me by accident.
That's
Okay?
no accident.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm saying, well, no, it really isn't. Um, Look for people, and the other thing is don't be afraid. Okay? There are people here on Google Plus, and just Martin Shervington, who is one of the grand gurus of Google. I have had questions, and I haven't been afraid to send him a message. Hey, Martin, you don't know me, and he's been more than gracious. Okay, don't be afraid.
You know what? That's so important to talk about, especially in this, right? Because my audience, there's a lot of mompreneurs, there's a lot of entrepreneurs, there's a lot of dudes watching this show, actually. Um, but,
Closet mompreneurs.
right? But they are, let's see, people social media has this way of distancing instead of bringing us together, right? So one of the things that I love about Google Plus is that you can just like private hangout message somebody and meet them, and suddenly, and I think that maybe is what draws people to my show, actually, is I'm so I'm so not professional in the sense that, like, there's no agenda, we're just having a conversation.
Uh-huh.
But that's one of the great things that happens when you're not afraid of someone's public persona and their shiny website, and is that most of the successful people, the big, names out there, they're all just normal, amazing, incredible people just like you and me. Um, I want to talk about hope real fast because you brought it up. And
Right.
we're kind of on the same page there, and I love everything you said about the law of attraction. Except for I heard a definition of hope, gosh, 10 years ago, and I can't
When you
remember.
were a mere child.
Right? And I can't remember the name of the person who said it, but it was part of I was in a network marketing company at the time, and he said, hope is holding on, right? The acronym, holding on, praying expectantly. And for that reason, I can continue to hope because now I'm praying expectantly, right? Which for me is affirmation, is positive prayer. And so for me, that turns hope from a wish to maybe, to like, I'm holding on, praying expectantly. This is so then it's not so much hope anymore, I guess. Anyways, let's talk about two things, right? Hanging around with people when you want to elevate your game, right? When you want to be successful, you need to hang around with people who are successful. And I was talking to you in the green room about I'm really wanting to build my net worth. I'm really wanting to build my wealth. I'm wanting to think about money in a different way. And yeah, I'm wanting to hit another level in terms of not necessarily income as much. Yeah, I want more income, but what I do with the income and the freedom that that income is bringing me. And so I know I've got to hang out with people who are living at that level. And my question to you in the green room was like, uh, where do I find them? um,
The
so
first place you find them is inside yourself. That the first place, it's while you were talking, there is a wonderful, wonderful book, and I'm sure most of your audience is familiar with Marianne Williamson.
yes,
And Marianne wrote a book called A Course in Weight Loss. Now, people say, yeah, just like you, well, I don't need to lose weight, John. Okay. This is one of the best books I ever read because she takes you through 21 days of self-examination. And she asks you to examine who's the you you're hanging around with inside of you to begin with. Okay. And once you kind of make peace with that person, then what you're able to do is you're able to say, if you could legally do it, walk up to the doors of the White House, bang on the door, and say, hey, I'd like to see the president, and not do it with any fear or any bravado. Okay? Um, I think you have to, I think part of that discovery is what you want to do. Okay? And I think the internet's wonderful, but I also think it can be a real negative tool because people sit back and they watch these hangouts and go to webinars and all of a sudden they want to do everything. And so you
mm-hmm.
sit and talk with them, and I find this in my coaching practice. Well, what do you want to do? I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that. Okay, well, pick one. Once you do that, then it's planning, and it goes back to that second thing. You're worth all the effort you put into yourself. Who's the people that can help me? Okay?
Yeah,
I'm going to find those people. I ping people all the time and say, when you have an opportunity, could I have 15 minutes of your time? I'd
yeah.
like to know a little bit more about this, but would you please share? Okay, and I think this is important. Will you share what you shared about that you are the mean of the people you hang around with?
Oh, yeah.
Because that just, I mean, you stopped me dead in my tracks when you shared that.
Okay, well, so if you watch my show, you know I'm really terrible with details. Super great with concepts, terrible with details. So if I have this all wrong, just comment. Let me know what it really is. But there's sort of a rule or I don't know, some sort like a wisdom floating around in the wealth circles, or in the teaching of wealth circles, I should say, which is your net worth will be the mean or the median, I'm not a math person, of your five closest friends, the five people that you hang around with most. And so look around. And is that what you want for yourself? Do you? And so, of course, the challenge is to find richer friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we were talking about that and how that can feel so um, gosh, awkward for a lot of us. Like, but I like my friends. I don't want to ditch my friends. And I know that's not what you're not necessarily saying ditch your friends. So
Yep.
let's go just a few minutes over because let's sort of rehab that conversation for the benefit of the people watching.
I think a lot of times, and the example I used in the green room is Carrie and I grew up together, and we married roughly the same time. Our kids are the same age. We did the same career. We were joined at the hip for 15 years, and all of a sudden, Carrie decides she's going to go off on this path that she's gone off on, and so she starts searching and looking, yada yada yada. And we run into one another in Costco one day, and it's been a couple months since we talked. And Carrie's just her usual excited, bubbly, effervescent self and says, oh, John, you just wouldn't believe the great things that are happening to me. And they're not happening to me because I choose not to have them happen. And I think there are natural chasms that occur, that in our lives we change so often, okay, that those separations come, and while we're wistful, they're not painful. Okay.
Yes.
Now, sometimes, if and sometimes there are folks, and I don't know if there's any of them in your audience or not, but sometimes I'm a big believer in the Holy Spirit, okay? And sometimes the Holy Spirit puts something in your head. What about toxic relationships? Those can be painful to end, okay?
Yeah.
What are you worth? Do you really believe you're worth something? And if there's a toxic relationship, what's that relationship worth to you? The final thing on that is simply this. So I leave Costco and I say, boy, Carrie sure has changed, and I got a warm spot in my heart for her. And 5 years from now, I say, you know what? I'm going to try doing something similar. Because, I've been thinking what Carrie did. See, we don't see that. I teach a leadership seminar, a live leadership seminar, and I remember I was working with a company, and they sent 15 people, and one guy sat in the corner the whole time. And when we got done, he came up to me and said, this is the largest waste of time I have ever experienced, and I cleaned that up for your audience. 6 months later, my phone rings, and this guy goes, I don't know if you remember me or not, but I was in one of those classes you taught. And I said, yeah. He said, I woke up this morning and I thought about something you said, and I thought, you know what? That's it. So, I think we're agents. I think we're used for a purpose. And I think sometimes we got to go and just kind of, I read the Bible a lot, and I don't read, and I'm not trying to offend anybody out there. I don't read it from a perspective with my hands folded. My favorite book in the Bible is the book of Jonah, because God kept asking Jonah to go do all this stuff, and Jonah kept saying, no, I want to go over here. And God said, all right, eventually I'm going to have a large whale swallow you and spit you out where I want to go. But at the end of the book of Jonah, it's only 4 chapters long. Jonah's sitting under a gourd tree, and he still don't get it. That's us. That's
Oh,
us. Okay?
yeah, totally. And John, I don't mean to cut you off,
No,
but
that's okay. I know, hon. I know.
we are just a few minutes over. And as you're talking, when you told me about that guy calling you, I goosebumps. Like, yeah. And I think that's so important just for so many of us mompreneurs, especially. We are so, I think we are self-critical. We're so worried about what the neighbors think. We're so worried about doing things right. We're just so worried about it. And you said something just now. You said, I don't want to offend anybody. And my initial reaction, my knee-jerk reaction was like, oh, you have to. You have to offend people. Like, how can you? But you
I'm going to have my wife watch this, okay? Carrie Roldan says I'm allowed to offend people.
well, all I mean by you have to offend people is you're gonna offend people when you stand for something, right?
Yeah,
There's gonna be people who don't stand. It's gonna be offensive to some people.
right,
But if you try never to offend, you don't stand for a darn thing. And
right,
what's the point of existing if we're just floating around and
right.
trying? That's not happiness. That's never gonna get us right. The theme of this show is 3 keys to success in life and business. You're never gonna be successful in life or business if you don't stand. If you don't know who you are and stand for it.
And that's a good reminder. And that's a
Yeah.
real good reminder. Every day, no matter what I go into, it's a hangout, a private chat with one of my clients. My goal every day is to learn something I didn't know. And that message you shared about where are you at in relation to the people you hang around with was such a powerful lesson. And I'm so glad you shared that, okay?
Oh,
Because
thank you.
that just made me go, oh crap, okay? I don't want to think about this, okay? But thank you, Carrie, and thank you for having me.
You are welcome. So I'm going to give you like 1 minute to tell people what you're up to, where to find you. Like, you have that start small and start now
Start
thing we
now.
hadn't talked about.
Yeah.
So,
Real quick, I'm starting a new program. Got the copyright pending called Start Small, Start Now. Came out of a blog I wrote about goals and objectives for the new year, and how so many people will call me and say, John, things just aren't working out. And suddenly it dawned on me, I've got a whole blog I'll let you all read sometime about how I think God has time for me at 2 a.m. That's when I fit in, okay? I wake up at 2 a.m. most mornings. And I'm working on that. and just my normal everyday regular coaching. I'm going to put some stuff in the event page because I just started a community called Start Small and Start Now. Just started it the other day, and I want to write the community guidelines. Unfortunately, it's going to be a private community, but like I'm gonna quote Andrew Hatchett: "You can't be a bluehead. You have to have a
Yeah.
picture. Okay, you got to have a profile. I'll let anybody in, but I want to make sure you're for real. Okay." Um, and I continue to block. I'll put all my info in the event page if people are interested.
Perfect. Oh my gosh, John, thank you for being here. I think we could have talked for hours and hours. And for those of you who I've switched screens because I'm about to read you guys my outro, and I have something really exciting, John, that I think you're going to
Okay.
be interested in, actually. But for those of you who are here live watching, thank you so much for commenting. Catherine, as always, Catherine's so great because she takes the notes during the show so that I don't have to go back and write down your main points. So, Catherine, love you. Thank you. And okay, we are already over time, like 6 minutes over. So I'm going to say that is all the time we have for today. Thank you, John, for being here and imparting
Thank you,
your
Carrie.
wisdom. You're welcome. And thank you guys so much for being here. As you well know, I'm on a mission to serve mompreneurs in body, mind, and business. And if you haven't already, head over to this place right here to get the 6 steps to actually achieving your outrageous goals. So here's a great big virtual hug from me. And you guys, next week, I'm doing something really exciting. And I didn't know that it was going to tie so well in, but I'll just tell you is um, one of my goals, right? One of the things I'm really working on is changing my money mindset and focusing on wealth building as opposed to just like getting clients, getting monies, buying stuff, right? Is building my wealth, building my net worth. And I met someone in a mastermind group that I'm in who has done that, who has created a passive income of over $25,000 a month, not overnight, but and wants to share how he did that. Created a program called Wealth on Any Income. And next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, so a half hour earlier than the normal Carrie Roll Dawn show, I'm actually helping him launch his product. So I will be hosting a webinar
Oh,
called
cool.
called The Three Secrets to Creating Wealth on Any Income with Rennie Gabriel. So I will put that information in as well. But how awesome that that tied so well together. So
Yeah.
if I didn't, this is going to sound cheesy salesy and it's not meant to, but if you are someone who, like me and like John, is ready to learn how to do that, is ready to learn how to create not just more income, but wealth on the income that you currently have, join me and Rennie next week, and I will put the info in the comment section. So having said all that, thank you for hanging around with us for an extra 8 minutes, and I will see you guys next week on Rennie's webinar. Talk to you
Bye
later, guys.
bye.